Did I get this one wrong? Now, the reason I'm talking about this is because over the last few days after the Club Brugge game, I think a lot of people are talking about Victor Gyokeres, and a lot of people are asking the question, who's to blame? Is he good? Is he not that good? Did we get this one wrong? Is it a system issue? Is it Mikel Arteta? Is it a problem again that we can't get the best out of our number 9? And there's been a lot of thoughts going in my mind about why we went for Victor Gyokeres, why I wanted Victor Gyokeres, why I wasn't alone in wanting Victor Gyokeres. There's been a lot of Arsenal fans who do content, a lot of Arsenal fans online, a lot of Arsenal fans you speak to in the pub that all wanted Victor Gyokeres. This is not a player that we all questioned or raised eyebrows with. It's not one that we looked at and thought, really? Why are we going for him? And I just wanted to be brutally honest. Have we got a dud here? Have I got this one wrong? Is it a system issue? Who are we blaming? They're the questions I want to try to thrash out in this video. And I'm here on a break with family, and I thought what I'd do is just give a little bit of an honest opinion on what I've thought so far about Victor Gyokeres before I go into more about what the problem could be. Now, let's go back to why we wanted him. Let's go back to the reasons people were crying out for him ahead of some of the other names. He was one of the names I wanted out of 3 others. There was only 4 I wanted. Isak was obviously number 1. I think everybody wanted Isak, right? When it looked like that wasn't happening and he was staying at Newcastle, or if he was going to be leaving Newcastle and potentially going to Liverpool, I realised it probably wasn't going to happen at Arsenal. So I looked elsewhere. But he was, without a doubt, number 1. Everybody knew my love for Isak, right? There was only 3 others I would have taken. One of them was Victor Gyokeres. The other 2 were Victor Osimhen, and the other one was Julian Alvarez. Now, I'm not saying that we don't go in again for one of those strikers in the summer. I'm not saying we don't look and stick with it if it's not working. But I do think that the signing was the right one. When you look at the money, it was absolutely worth a punt. He was the top scorer in Europe. He picked up the Ballon d'Or, not the Ballon d'Or, but the Ballon d'Or top scorer award because of the amount of goals he scored. Not just last season, but the season before. 100 goals in 2 years. Now people will say, but it's in Portugal, Dan, chill out. I don't know anyone else doing it in Portugal. People can throw Darwin Núñez at me. Darwin Núñez did not do it in the Champions League. Hat-tricks against Man City. Over 50 goals in that league in both seasons. Picking up the Ballon d'Or top scorer in Europe. Darwin Núñez not do that. Neither did Goncalo Ramos. These guys that people will throw at me, oh, this guy's done it in the Portuguese league. They didn't do what Gyokeres did. They just didn't. They didn't. So when people say to me, it was obvious that this was going to happen, I disagree. Now, the other thing to say here, which I think is important, the season isn't over yet. He has scored, I think, 6 goals in all competitions in around about 16 to 17 games, which, to be fair, is not bad for a striker. The reason it's bad for this striker is because he was not brought in to get 6 goals in 17. He was brought in to get at least double figures by now in all competitions. And because he hasn't done that, people are now questioning the player, the striker, the system, the manager, and whether he was the right buy for Arsenal. Now, I don't mind holding my hands up and say that I might have got this one wrong. But at the end of the day, I don't want to be going too soon by saying this isn't going to work, it's done, bring back Havertz or Jesus, because this one is not going to work. I think we need to give it a little bit longer, but I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm not giving it till May. I'm more than happy to see out the 2025, get towards the January New Year and see what he's like over the festive period. But I'm not waiting 10, 15 more games. I think 15 games is a fair amount of time before you make a judgment of a player. And what I will say is that only Voltemada and Ekitike can hold their heads high in terms of new signings, striker signings anyway, in the summer. Isak, we all know the story there. And I've got to be honest with you, Sesko isn't pulling up trees for Manchester United either. And the amount of fans that are saying, and I think this is mad by the way, see, told you it shouldn't have been Gyokeres. Well, those fans were the ones that were saying they wanted Sesko, and he's not doing anything for United now, is he? I mean, did you see his performance against Spurs? He's missing them left, right and centre. So I think we need to be honest and realistic about that. The scenario I've got for you is Mikel Arteta struggles with the attack. Now, not a lot of people want to hear that because we scored 89 points and the most goals since the Invincibles, and we're unbelievable in attack. We score an unbelievable amount of goals in the Champions League and League this season. I'm not saying he's got a problem with scoring goals. I'm saying he's got a problem with the attack. That's a completely different thing. It doesn't mean he can't score goals. It means that he can't allow Victor Gyokeres to be that vocal point to get us the Haaland type numbers. Now, when people are going to be looking at a striker coming in at Arsenal, they're going to compare him to Erling Haaland. I would advise everyone to stop doing that. I suggest we don't do that, because I don't know another striker in world football is doing what Erling Haaland's doing right now. So when people say to me, I think it's time that we look towards what Haaland's doing and try and compare that to the others, stop. Because there's nobody else doing it. Only Harry Kane and Lewandowski have come close in the last couple of years, and they've even failed to get the numbers that Haaland has, right? So I think what we need to do is start to actually stop comparing him to other strikers and look at what he's doing for us. Because when you stop comparing strikers to other players, what you'll then do is think, actually, why are we comparing him to the Man United system? Why are we comparing Victor Gyokeres to the Man City system? Let's look at what he's doing in our system and what he can improve upon. And that, for me, is massively key. When you look at the strengths and the positives of what Victor Gyokeres has brought to Arsenal, I do think there are some. People will talk about him being a bit of a bully boy. People will talk about the way that he's winning duels and the way that he's, been a handful for defenders, the way that two defenders are normally on him, the fact they're not giving him space in behind, which is obviously how he scored most of his goals at Hatful, in fact, for Portugal, and how he's been doing that in the Champions League and Europa League. When I look at what Victor Gyokeres has done, it's been bringing others into play. It's been given the space to, the other night against Bruges, Martinelli and Madueke to come in and cut inside and have a dig, because they're all looking at occupying space for Gyokeres. That's fine. I've got no problem with him doing that. And I think that Saka and Martinelli, or whoever's on the left and right, will score goals because of Victor Gyokeres. And I think that he will create them space. And I think that he will drag players out of the game and away from the likes of Saka and Madueke and Martinelli and Trossard. Did we buy him for that? Some would say no. I would say probably yes. But we also bought him for goals on top of that. So when people say it doesn't matter that he's not scoring because he's doing so much else, I kind of disagree with that, because I do believe we've got Marino, Havertz and even Jesus to a degree that can all do that. But the problem with those three is they don't go and score 30 goals. We brought this guy in to be the killer. We brought him in to be the gunman. We brought him in to be the guy in the box that's goal, 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 goal. Fox in the box, goal, goal, goal. And he's not been that. Now, let me be real. I still don't think that in the 15, 16 games he's had at Arsenal, he's missed sitters. Darwin Núñez was missing from a yard out. Darwin Núñez was putting the ball over when there was nobody near him. Darwin Núñez was tapping it at the goalkeeper when he was through one-on-one. I've not seen Victor Gyokeres do that. I've seen him miss a real glorious chance against Leeds in a game where he scored 2 goals anyway. I've seen him miss a chance at Port Vale where he took too long to release his strike. And I saw him take the ball wide instead of towards goal against Athletic Bilbao. They're the only 3 chances in my head that I can think should have done better. Now, there was a couple of half chances he had against Olympiacos, maybe one against West Ham, where I thought maybe you could have done better. But I've seen Jesus and Havertz and Marino, I've seen Haaland do that. So I'm not going to class them as absolute key, wow, should have buried it. I would have liked to have seen him do better with those chances, but I've just got to be really honest with you. I don't feel like we should be looking at those opportunities as the ones that we're saying that's why he's not going to work. So I need to see Victor Gyokeres going through one-on-one more. I need to see him thread the ball through. I need to see Odegaard and Eze giving him more of these chances. I need to see Saka, Madueke, Martinelli, Trossard not going for goal all the time, looking for him. I don't know that we do that enough. Now, that's not an excuse for Victor Gyokeres, because he does have to do more. He has to drop deeper to get the ball. He has to actually ball carry, which was, let's be real, one of his attributes coming from Sporting Lisbon. He actually had really good ball carrying stats, much better than the likes of Kai Havertz or Mikel Merino. But you look at that this season, he hasn't been doing that either. So yeah, he needs to step up. And I think he knows he needs to step up. And if I'm honest with you, I think Mikel Arteta knows that he has to step up. And the only positive I can say is there's still time. The other positive I've got is Andrea Berta. I don't think he mucks around. I don't think we're in a position now where we've got a sporting director who looks at the football relations and goes, or sorry, we're not buying a striker for another 5 years because we've got Victor Gyokeres here. I think he'll go and get Julian Alvarez if this one doesn't work. Or he'll go and get Osimhen, or he'll go and get a striker who he believes is the next best thing. I don't think we'll sit and stick with this guy for 4 or 5 years if it ain't working. He's 27, he's not 21. We're not got to give this guy 3 or 4 years until he starts to hit the prime of his football. I think he's there now. He was brought in to win us games now. So for me, I think we will be patient, but it won't be past this season if this carries on. because Victor Gyokeres needs the goals and needs the numbers. So I'm going to be patient. I'm going to give him time. I can't give up on him yet. What I will say is I'm concerned and I'm worried. Do me a favour, people. Hit the like button. Hit subscribe. We'll see you on the next one.